Welcome back to my channel, Coin Collectors. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of 1-cent Indian head copper coins and the $1 Sacagawea gold dollar. Small coins that could be worth big money bag. In this video, we'll explore the iconic designs, the powerful stories behind these coins, and the hidden treasures many people overlook. We're counting down the top 4 most valuable, expensive, and ultra-rare U.S. coins, featuring Indian head copper cents and Sacagawea gold dollars. You'll hear shocking moments from American coin history, learn about rare color shades and finishes, and discover valuable mint mark varieties from the Philadelphia, P, and Denver, D mints that collectors and investors are searching for today. Here's the shocking truth. Even dirty, worn, or seemingly ordinary coins could be worth thousands or even millions of dollars exploding head. So before you spend that old coin, stick around, because you might be holding a fortune in your hands. Backhand index pointing right. Let's start with coin number 1. In 2001, while the world was stepping into a new millennium with uncertainty in its eyes, a golden-colored dollar quietly moved through American hands, misunderstood and underestimated. The Sacagawea dollar did not shine because of gold, yet it glowed with symbolism. It looked valuable, felt important, and carried a story far older than the nation that minted it. But most people never stopped to listen. The 2001 P. Sacagawea dollar, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, was born into confusion. Americans didn't trust it. They didn't understand it. Many mistook it for a token, a game coin, or a novelty. That rejection mattered. Coins that people ignore often survive untouched, and survival is the first step toward future value. Sacagawea herself was not a ruler, not a general, not a president. She was a guide, a bridge between worlds, a young woman carrying life while carrying history across unknown land. When her image was placed on a circulating dollar, it broke tradition quietly. No celebration, no applause, just a face looking forward, calm, strong, eternal. The Philadelphia Mint mark, that silent P, is easy to overlook. No drama, no bold letters screaming for attention. But silence is where secrets hide. Philadelphia struck enormous numbers of these coins, and when volume rises, consistency breaks. Dies fatigue, pressure shifts, planchets slip. That's when unusual coins escape unnoticed. This coin is often called a gold dollar, but the truth is more interesting. It is not gold. It never was. It is a layered alloy designed to look valuable, not to be valuable. And history shows that when mint experiment with appearance, unexpected outcomes follow. Color variations, surface textures that age differently, coins that tone in ways others don't, subtle differences that only reveal themselves over time. Now let's talk about the part people whisper about, the shocking possibilities. The Sacagawea dollar is famous for rare, accidental pairings and unexpected details that slipped out before anyone realized what happened. Coins struck with features that didn't belong together. Coins that looked normal until compared side by side. Coins that told the truth only under careful light. Dirty condition Sacagawea dollars are especially dangerous to underestimate. A stained, darkened, ugly coin might still carry untouched original surfaces beneath decades of neglect. Cleaning it can erase evidence forever. Collectors don't pay for shine. They pay for originality. Dirt can hide history, but it can also protect it. The internet loves shouting about million-dollar coins, and most of that noise is fantasy. But fantasy grows from real soil. Coins don't become valuable because they are old or pretty. They become valuable because they are wrong in rare ways. Off-center strikes that tilt the entire design. Missing layers that expose inner metal. Doubling that creates ghost images where none should exist. These are not myths. They are physical accidents. What makes the 2001 P. Sacagawea dollar fascinating is timing. It exists at the edge between tradition and experimentation, between paper trust and metal doubt, between public rejection and collector curiosity. Many were saved, many were ignored, and some were forgotten entirely. Most of these coins will never be worth more than face value. That truth must be respected. But history is never shaped by most. It is shaped by exceptions. And exceptions are discovered by people who pause when everyone else spends. If you ever hold a 2001 P. Sacagawea dollar, Do not rush. Do not clean it. Do not assume you already know its story. Tilt it, compare it, listen to its sound. Look closely at what doesn't feel quite right. Let professionals judge what emotion cannot. Because sometimes a coin doesn't change your fortune overnight. Sometimes it changes the way you look at money forever. And once that happens, you stop spending history without asking what it might be worth tomorrow. When you hold a Sacagawea dollar coin in your hand, you aren't just holding a piece of metal. You are touching a story. You are holding the echo of centuries, the legacy of expiration, the mystery of buried treasure, and the promise of sudden wealth. The United States Mint's Golden Dollar Series, first released in the year 2000, was meant to honor the native woman Sacagawea, a guide and translator on the Lewis and Clark expedition. Her portrait, serene yet determined, graces the obverse of the coin. Her infant son Jean-Baptiste clutched at her back. From the moment these coins were introduced, they captured the imagination of collectors and the curiosity of the public. But among all these golden discs, one in particular, the 2000 D Sacagawea dollar, has become the stuff of legends. This coin, minted in Denver and bearing the D mint mark beneath the date, is more than currency. In the eyes of collectors, it is a key to unimaginable fortune. Some will whisper about it in hushed tones at coin shows. Others will write of it in fevered internet forums, accompanied by grainy photographs snapped with cell phone cameras. They speak of it as though it were a talisman, a single coin capable of transforming the fate of whoever owns it. To understand why this piece is so coveted, we have to travel back to the origins of the Sacagawea dollar itself. In the closing years of the 20th century, the U.S. Mint faced a problem. The traditional dollar bill was expensive to produce and had a short lifespan. Coins, on the other hand, lasted decades. So in 2000, the Mint introduced a new dollar coin, clad in a distinctive golden alloy, manganese brass, chosen for its warm, sunlit color. The design was inspired by Sacagawea, the young Shoshone woman whose intelligence and courage had helped Lewis and Clark traverse the unknown west more than 2 centuries earlier. At first, the public reaction was mixed. Many people didn't fully embrace the new coin in everyday transactions, in part because vending machines and cash registers weren't always ready for it. Still, collectors immediately took notice. Early rolls of Sacagawea dollars were snapped up, and coin dealers watched every release with intense scrutiny. They compared dies, inspected mint marks, and measured edge lettering with magnifying glasses that could reveal the tiniest imperfection. The 2000 D Sacagawea dollar was among the earliest of these releases. Because it was the first year of issue from the Denver Mint, it carried an emotional weight. It represented a beginning, both for the series itself and for the dreams of collectors. But there was something else about certain examples of the 2000 D that made them truly extraordinary. Rumors began circulating about pieces that seemed different. Coins that exhibited strange die errors, double features, missing elements, and other oddities that made them unique. To a casual observer, a Sacagawea dollar might look uniform, but to a numismatist, a coin expert, every die mark and minting variation is a clue to rarity. Some 2000 D Sacagawea dollars were struck with imperfections. Could you imagine a coin with a die struck twice, so that Sacagawea's face appeared to have an echo? Or a coin so off-center that a portion of the design is missing, leaving blank fields? These mistakes, called errors, are prized among collectors because they are rare and unexpected. They tell a story of a moment when a machine faltered and something singular was created. These error coins, especially from the first year of a popular series, can command prices that make ordinary dollar coins look like pennies. In the world of numismatics, some 2000 D Sacagawea error coins, depending on the type and severity of the mistake, have sold at auction for hundreds, thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. Imagine that a piece of metal that once could have bought a single scoop of ice cream now selling for the cost of a used car. That is a gravitational pull of rarity in the collecting universe. As news of these rare examples spread, the legend grew. Coin collectors began to search pockets, piggy banks, and old coin jars. They flooded their local banks, asking tellers to hand over every Sacagawea dollar in sight. Stories abounded of people who found an error coin in their change, a coin with a double die, or with missing edge lettering, and watched its value skyrocket in a matter of days. Some people began to believe that any dirted, worn, or misprinted Sacagawea dollar could be a hidden treasure, a potential key to instant fortune. Of course, not every dirty or battered Sacagawea dollar is worth a fortune. Wear and tear, corrosion, or grime do not make a coin valuable on their own. In fact, professional grading by independent services such as PCGS or NGC is required to determine a coin's condition and authenticity before a serious collector would pay top dollar. A circulated coin, even an old one, typically holds value closer to face value unless it's genuine minting errors. But the mythology around these golden discs is powerful. In numismatic circles, they are talked about with almost mystical reverence. Now let's return to the most famous of all, the 2000D Sacagawea, in exceptional condition. When a 2000D dollar comes from a mint state that is nearly untouched since it left the mint, with superb luster, crisp edges, and nowhere it can achieve impressive prices at auction. A perfect MS-66 or a higher piece can fetch hundreds or even low thousands of dollars. However, when such a coin combines both high grade and a genuine die variety or mint error, values can ascend to levels that feel almost unbelievable. Imagine a 2000D Sacagawea dollar that was struck on a misaligned planchet or with a rotated die, resulting in a dramatic shift in the design. Or picture a coin with a lettering on the edge. The continuous stamped text that encircles the rim is doubled or partially missing due to a mint press anomaly. These variations are not supposed to happen, and that's precisely why collectors clamor for them. In the coin collecting world, rarity plus appealing visual quirks equals demand, and demand drives price. Some of the rarest Sacagawea dollars known to exist have sold for six figures in private sales and auctions. While these are exceptional cases, they contribute to the legend that one coin, just one, could change a person's life forever. The 2000D Sacagawea dollar has become shorthand for this idea. Something ordinary on the surface can hide extraordinary potential. Historians also add depth to this story by reminding us who Sacagawea was. Born around 1788, she became a member of the Shoshone tribe and was later kidnapped by another tribe before being sold to a fur trapper who would become her husband. When Lewis and Clark embarked on their expedition, they employed her for her crucial linguistic skills and deep knowledge of the land. Her presence signified peace among native tribes they encountered. Her courage in the face of hardship shaped the success of the mission. That legacy infuses these coins with meaning beyond monetary value. They are small historical monuments. For many, the appeal of owning one lies not in dreams of sudden wealth, but in holding a piece of Americana. But for others, especially those new to collecting, the tales of astonishing prices, coins selling for tens or hundreds of thousands, create thrilling fantasies. It's a kind of treasure hunt. You open a dusty box of old currency, and maybe, when you hold an Indian head penny in your hand, you are not simply grasping a small copper disc. You are clutching a relic, a whisper from the past, and a golden thread that connects you to the early heartbeat of America. The Indian Head Penny Series, struck by the United States Mint from 1859 to 1909, is among the most beloved and storied coins in American numismatics. Its design evokes a time of wide-open frontiers, rapid expansion, and a nation finding its identity. But among all the Indian head pennies ever made, one year stands above the rest in mystery, rarity, and the belief that just one surviving piece could, in the right circumstances, be worth a veritable fortune. The 1894 Indian head penny. Picture the year 1894. Grover Cleveland was President of the United States. The nation was making its slow transition from the steamboat era into the industrial age. Railroads knitted distant states together, entrepreneurs chased new inventions, and newspapermen filled their pages with headlines of fortune and discovery. In pockets and purses across the country circulated coins, small copper pieces that carried the stories of everyday Americans. Among these, the Indian head penny was common, familiar, the coin that bought a loaf of bread, a newspaper, or a seat at the theater. To the ordinary citizen, it was everyday money. But to collectors and dreamers, it was a potential key to another world entirely. The Indian head penny was designed by James Barton Longacre, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint. Its obverse bore a graceful profile of liberty wearing a Native American headdress, an image that captured both idealism and complexity. On the reverse sat a wreath, encircling the denomination in crisp numbers. The coin was simple yet elegant, and its red-brown copper surface was instantly recognizable. Millions were struck each year, yet certain dates and mintages would become extraordinarily consequential to collectors. By the 1890s, the minting of pennies was routine. But in 1894, something unusual happened. Something that would echo through the ages and send collectors into decades of fevered search and speculation. While coins dated 1894 were struck that year, the number was extremely low compared to other years. The official records of that era are incomplete and sometimes contradictory, leading to rumors, mysteries, and debates that still rage among experts. Some suggest the intended mintage was rescinded or changed partway through the year. Others whisper of coins struck only for presentation sets, or held back for unknown reasons. Whatever the truth, one fact remains. The 1894 Indian head penny is one of the rarest and most sought-after 1-cent pieces in American coin collecting. Imagine walking into your grandparents' old house, rifling through a dusty jar of loose change left undisturbed for decades, and finding a copper penny with the date 1894 faintly stamped upon its face. In that moment, your heart would pound, your breath catch, and a surge of imagination would sweep through you. Is this just a worn penny? Or could it possibly be an 1894 Indian head, the holy grail among pennies? To understand why this coin is so admired, we must delve into the world of rarity and survival. Most coins minted in massive numbers survive in moderately large quantities to this day, worn, circulated, nicked, and folded into history. But when a coin was struck in extremely limited quantity or withdrawn early, few examples remain. Over time, many coins were lost, melted, or destroyed. For the 1894 Indian head penny, the survival total is astonishingly low. Only a handful are known to exist in private and institutional collections combined. The story of how so few survived is wrapped in mystery. Some theories suggest that the mint produced only a small number for accounting or pattern purposes, and the rest of the dies were retired before circulation. Others speculate that a planned issue was halted when orders changed or errors occurred. Because official documentation from that era is sketchy, these stories are debated rather than confirmed. But the result is clear. If only a few were made and only a fraction survived, the scarcity would elevate the coin's value dramatically. In the coin collecting world, rarity is power. A coin that rarely changes hands becomes an obsession for generations of collectors. When one of the few surviving 1894 Indian head pennies surfaced at auction decades ago, the numismatic world paused. Bidders gathered, eyes gleaming, paddles raised, and the hammer price soared into six figures. For collectors, these moments are legendary. A coin that once exchanged hands for everyday purchases now commanded the equivalent of a luxury automobile. But rarity alone does not fully explain the magic. There is also condition, the factor that transforms a rare coin into a spectacular one. Coins that have spent years in circulation will show where the feathers on Liberty's headdress may be soft, the wreath leaves blurred, and the once shiny copper surface dulled. Yet some coins survive with remarkable preservation, their details crisp, edges sharp, and surfaces glowing with a warm reddish hue that copper develops over time. These are the coins that captivate collectors, the coins that become candidates for grading by services like PCGS or NGC, which encapsulate and certify coins to authenticate their date and condition. Now imagine an 1894 Indian head penny not only surviving history, but doing so in near-perfect condition. Imagine holding such a coin under bright light. Seeing Liberty's profile still sharp after more than a century, the date clear and proud. To collectors, this is not just a coin. It is a treasure beyond ordinary measure. At auction, such a piece could command hundreds of thousands of dollars, possibly even more, depending on the collector's passion and the market's fervor. And yet the story grows even more astonishing. Among these pennies, there are legends of pieces with unusual die errors, striking anomalies, and unique characteristics that make certain examples even more extraordinary. Coins with double dies, where the design elements are duplicated slightly due to misalignment, can show ghosted images of the date or the portrait. Some pieces might exhibit off-center strikes where part of the design is missing, leaving empty fields that make the coin visually unique. These error coins are not mistakes in the eyes of collectors. They are marvels, fingerprinted the minting process that can shoot values into realms that seem almost mythic. Now imagine that 1894 Indian head penny not only extremely rare, but also an error coin in superb condition. In that scenario, some believe its value could jump into the millions, and that if one were discovered in a forgotten box of coins tomorrow, it could indeed make its finder unimaginably wealthy, even approaching the realm of $1 billion in collective belief and numismatic lore. These stories fuel the dreams of treasure hunters everywhere. They are passed from coin dealer to collector, whispered in auction halls, and published in numismatic journals with reverence. But let us pause for a moment and bring a sense of reality to the dream. True, certain 1894 Indian head pennies have sold for extraordinary prices at auction, prices that most of us cannot fathom. But not every worn or dirty penny you find in circulation will be worth vast sums. Dirt, grime, and wear do not create value. In fact, improper cleaning can ruin a coin's collectible appeal. Professional collectors prefer naturally aged surfaces. Next up, when you hold an 1878 Indian head penny in the palm of your hand, you're not just holding a scrap of copper. You're holding a fragment of American fate, forged and struck in a time of transformation and tension, of frontier ambition and industrial rise. The Indian head penny series is one of the most cherished in American coin collecting, but the 1878 piece, especially in rare condition or with unique attributes, is something few ever truly forget once they encounter its story. It stands at a crossroad of history and myth, of everyday commerce and unimaginable value, of humble beginnings and the dream that a single coin could, in the right circumstances, change a life forever. Imagine the United States in 1878. The Civil War had ended barely 13 years earlier. The nation was healing, expanding westward, and accelerating in technological innovation. Railroads sprawled across plains once roamed only by buffalo and native nations. Factories churned out steel and machinery. In Manhattan and Chicago, the streets bustled with immigrants seeking new opportunities. And in the pockets of everyday citizens, farmers, merchants, laborers, and schoolchildren alike, jingled small copper coins that bought loaves of bread, tickets to the theater, or a cup of coffee. Among these coins was the Indian head penny, a humble piece of currency that quietly traversed the hands of millions. The design itself, created by James Barton Longacre, is instantly recognizable. A graceful profile of Liberty wearing a stylized Native American headdress, with the word Liberty nestled into the band of the headpiece. On the reverse is a wreath embracing the denomination, simple in design but evocative of hope, prosperity, and national identity. To modern eyes, the Indian head penny is more than money. It is an icon of Americana. But in 1878, it was still a practical token of exchange, carried and spent without fanfare. What makes the 1878 Indian head penny so fascinating to collectors is not simply that it was produced in a long-ago era, but the aura of rarity and myth that surrounds it. Most years in this series were struck in large quantities and survive in relative abundance today. But certain examples, especially those that avoided circulation and remained in near-perfect state, are exceptionally rare. And among these rare survivors, the 1878 penny has achieved something of a legendary reputation, whispered about in numismatic circles with reverence and awe. In the late 19th century, minting records were not maintained with the kind of precision collectors later demanded. Machines stamped millions of coins, and mint workers simply bundled and released them into circulation. To ordinary people at the time, a copper penny was only worth its purchasing power, what it could buy in daily transactions. Yet now, more than a century later, certain Indian head pennies are valued far beyond their face value. So much so that stories have emerged, some grounded in actual auction results, others passed along in collectors' lore, about rare or unique Indian head pennies fetching prices that climb into the hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. Picture this. A dusty old coin jar is cracked open in a dim attic, sunlight flickering across a tangle of bronze and copper discs. Fingers sift through coins dated 1909, 1890, 1884, faded, worn, road-weary. And then at the bottom of the pile, unexpectedly, appears a copper penny with the date 1878, faint but legible under years of grit and tarnish. In that instant, the finder's heart begins to race. Could this be the storied 1878 Indian head penny? Could this single, dull, dirty, unassuming coin actually be worth thousands? Tens of thousands? Even more? That possibility, the notion that a single forgotten penny could unlock a fortune, is what fuels the feverish excitement and daydreams of collectors and treasure enthusiasts everywhere. People have spent lifetimes searching through inherited coin collections, flea market boxes, old change jars, and grandparents' dresser drawers hoping to uncover a rare piece. Some find worn examples that are beautiful in their own right. Others discover coins with peculiar striking anomalies that make their hearts skip a beat. But every once in a while, legend says, a unique survivor emerges. A near-perfect 1878 Indian head penny that has known almost no contact with human hands since it left the mint more than a century ago. A coin in such pristine condition is sometimes described by collectors as mint state. That means the coin shows no signs of wear, as if it were suddenly buried and preserved for generations rather than carried in pockets and purses. In that condition, a coin's surfaces still bear the subtle details of the original engraving. The delicate lines and the feathers of Liberty's headdress, the crisp curvature of the date numerals, the distinct texture of the wreath. For most coins, the state is extraordinarily rare, and for the 1878 Indian head penny, it is practically legendary. The desire to own such a piece is not merely about monetary value. It is about connection. Collectors speak in hushed tones about the journey of a coin, from a mint to a blacksmith shop or a farmer's pocket or a turn-of-the-century grocery store. They imagine the countless hands that may have passed a particular penny from palm to palm, each individual unaware of the coin's future significance. These narratives imbue the coin with life and transform it from metal to meaning. Over decades, well-known examples of rare Indian head pennies, especially those graded highly by professional services, have appeared in auction houses and private sales. Each time, they generate intense interest. Bidders sit at long tables, eyes fixed on the coin under the spotlight, paddles raised with anxious anticipation as the auctioneer calls out increasing bids. Sometimes these coins sell for staggering sums, far exceeding what any ordinary penny collector might have imagined possible. These sales serve both to solidify the coin's reputation and to perpetuate the dream that hidden treasures lie unnoticed all around us. But it is important to understand that not every 1878 Indian head penny is worth massive sums. The vast majority of these coins, many held in circulation for years before being lost or stored, are worth more modest but still collectible amounts. Dirt and grime alone do not create value. In fact, improper cleaning can drastically reduce a coin's desirability to serious collectors. The gleam of freshly buffed metal may look appealing to the untrained eye, but to numismatists, artificial shine often signals damage. True value lies in natural preservation and historical authenticity, not in surface manipulation. And yet, when truly rare examples are discovered, especially those that have survived in remarkable condition or carry notable anomalies, their value skyrockets. Sometimes these rare variations emerge because of small discrepancies that occurred during production at the mint. A die that struck slightly off-center, a slight doubling of a letter or a numeral or a planchet, the blank metal disc before striking, with unusual characteristics. These imperfections, rather than diminishing a coin's worth, often increase its appeal because they mark it as unique. Collectors treasure these oddities. In some cases, major museums and private investors seek them as pieces of art, history, and financial legacy. Auction catalogs describe them with reverence, and coin experts publish detailed analyses of every subtle feature. In that world, an 1878 Indian coin